There's a play going on this weekend in our area. It's called Terror of the Tug, and it's about the coal mining wars, and it's by Jean Batlow. It's actually in its 20th year, celebrating its 20th anniversary. So joining me right now, Jonathan Cox, Felicia Blevins, you're both involved with the play, and thank you both for joining us in the studio.
Thank you.
So walk our audience through what the play is about.
Well, the play is about the mining wars, and it starts out with the Matewan Massacre, which took place in the town of Matewan in the year 1921. And then it led up to the murder of Sheriff Sid Hatfield and his first deputy, Ed Chambers, on the courthouse steps in Welch of McDowell County. And that led to the Battle of Blair Mountain, which is one of the first times that the U.S. government actually used its own planes and its own forces against its own people. So it's a pretty historical play. It'll be in Pipestem this weekend at 8 o'clock this Saturday on the 10th. And then it'll be in Welch, West Virginia at the McArts Amphitheater on the 17th. That'll be next Saturday at 8 o'clock.
Okay, so Jonathan, you're a storyteller, and then Felicia, you're playing the role of Sally Chambers. Tell us about each of your roles. Walk us more in depth about what you're doing.
I play Sally Chambers, and my husband, I was a real person, and my husband, Ed Chambers, was also real, and he was gunned down on the steps at Welch Courthouse.
Wow, and we want to emphasize that this is based on real events too. This is not based on fiction, real events. So how does it make both of you feel knowing that you're essentially reliving a part of history in our area?
It's pretty amazing to be able to tell the story of so many people. My character's name is Jamie Joe Douglas. I'm a fictional character, but I'm based on, I represent the miners that were going through the struggle. The miners that were unionizing because they got paid in script. They didn't get paid in real money. They were put out of their houses if they wanted to unionize for better working conditions. The companies would hire people to come in and put them out of their houses, which is actually the Baldwin Felts detectives. And they would come in and they had a job to do too. So they had to, they were told to come in and put these miners out of the houses. They had to go. They had families to feed, but the miners also had families to feed. They got put out into coal camps where they would freeze to death in the winter times, and they were starving. It was human misery and struggle, and it was a time that a lot of our ancestors went through. Mm-hmm. A lot of heritage, no matter what your race or religion was back then, that was the jobs of a lot of the people in the area was coal miners, and they were all going through this kind of struggle.
So essentially you're both also educating people, right, who may not be familiar with the story and the history. So why is it important for both of you to also be acting as educators in that role?
It's important because it's real history that belongs to the people. There's probably not anybody in the United States or the world that wasn't affected by these things that were going on with coal. And coal made the steel for every war that has ever been fought. It made the steel that built up this country and other countries around the world alike. And it's just important to capture that history so nobody forgets. Nobody forgets what they went through, because these days it's unimaginable to go through the struggles that they did, and somebody has to be there to tell the history. And it brings a smile to my face because a lot of the older people, they remember that history and they come out to see this play, and it takes them back to old memories that they might not have thought about for 60 years, mm-hmm. 60 or 70 years. They come out and they see this, or they heard that their grandpa went through this, or they know that their grandmother was going through this while their grandpa was fighting for these kinds of living conditions and rights. And it's very important not to let that history be forgotten.
Jonathan and Felicia, thank you so much for joining us in the studio today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay with us, we'll be right back.